Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this next session from Simply Mail Solutions, which today we're going to be talking about business voice. And I'm really pleased to be joined today by Martin Barber, who's our technical support manager, who's going to be helping me step through the Microsoft solution for voice. I think it's worth saying as an introduction that Microsoft entered the voice market a few. The initial product was pretty feature light as it entered the marketplace, but over the last couple of years that product has matured, and as you'll see as we step through today's session, has now a really game-changing solution, particularly for small to medium-sized and mid-market businesses, and more importantly, particularly those that are already utilizing Microsoft services such as Office 365 and are starting to utilize the Teams functionality that is incorporated within that. So today's session is going to be about Microsoft Voice. It's along the same series of other webinars that are all available on our website that we produce, because as we normally say in these sessions, we're here to help our customers. We're here to help you step through the functionality that in many instances many of our customers already have but are perhaps not taking the advantage of that they can, and we're here to able to give you as much information that we can, and if we're not able to do it in this session, then of course we're happy to do that offline and to talk to you, or either answer your questions on email or chat, or of course for us to speak to you via either the telephone or of course on Teams, which we use extensively ourselves. So coming to business voice, let's move on, and perhaps Martin can pick up now at this point, and perhaps you could give us a brief understanding of what is the Microsoft Business Voice product, Martin.
Thanks, Chris. Hello, everyone. So Business Voice is an add-on, effectively, or it's a product in itself, but it's an add-on to existing 365 plans that enables you to have your own phone system with inside the 365 ecosystem. So it's added onto one of your plans, like a standard plan, for example, and it allows you to effectively have your own phone system in the cloud instead of having it in the corner of your office. Everything's moved into the cloud, so you can actually make actual proper phone calls anywhere in the world from the system with you. Obviously you have to have calling plans on it, but you can actually make calls to anyone just like you would do with a normal telephone. So it effectively replaces your PBX in the office with a virtual one in the cloud, and that can be used for anything from landlines to mobiles, just like a normal telephone would be. It allows you to have up to 300 seats on an account, and you can do things like domestic calling plans. There's international calling plans. There's audio conferencing on it. It's just a fully fledged phone system, basically, like a PBX, basically.
So that means that would actually replace, if I have got a traditional on-premise solution, perhaps that I've purchased many years ago and are still paying for a service contract, and perhaps for old-fashioned connectivity solutions that may well be in there. I could fully replace that with the Microsoft solution. I think that's what you're telling us, and that's
exactly, yeah. So basically it effectively replaces what you already have. So your physical hardware that you may have in your office, the old style PBXs that you used to have on the wall, this replaces that virtually in the cloud. So everything is controlled in the cloud, and you get a fully fledged admin panel where you can, like you would do on an older system, but you just don't have the hardware. Microsoft deals with the hardware side in the cloud.
Good, and I think that perhaps that's a good point for us to perhaps step through what the basic functionality is that's delivered out of the box in the solution once you migrate across. So perhaps if you could step through what that core functionality that I think most of our customers would be familiar with.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So basically, the core features and functionality part of the business voice system is there's some on the screen at the minute. But when you first sign up, you will get you will get obviously a number that you can choose. Now this number you get 100 in the pool that are available, and you can have local numbers. You can have toll numbers or toll-free numbers. Toll numbers and toll-free numbers, you do have to have an additional service to use them, because obviously if you're using a toll-free number, for example, then you have to pay the call cost for that, and that would be a plan that you'd have to add on separately for that to work. But that's the main sort of the numbers situation on it. But you have things like auto attendance, so you can have a system where somebody will ring up and it'll have a queuing system where it'll say press 1 for sales, 2 for support, etc. You have that as well. Like I said, there's call queuing as well, so you can actually put people into an actual set of call queues, and that is fully customizable. If you have desk phones plugged into the system, because it does support VoIP handsets, as well as obviously mobile phones and things like that, you get caller ID. You can route calls to a desk phone, a mobile phone, your desktop, however you want to sort of really set it up. It does support emergency calling, so you set up an emergency calling setup on there. So it means that you can, because people do ask, can you ring 999 on it? And there is obviously you have to set up an emergency calling option on there in order for that to work. So that will work fine. There is voicemail service as part of it. You can do forwarding, music on hold, call blocking. There's more features that I can mention on this call today, but that's some of the main core features as part of it. But like I say, it's fully featured. There's so much I could go into about it that's available on it.
Brilliant. And you mentioned on the slide here Microsoft Teams Business Voice, and perhaps you could explain the ramifications of that and what the core functionality is when you put together the Business Voice and the Teams solution as one.
So when you put it as one, effectively all it does is it allows you to use Teams as a phone. So when Business Voice is enabled and provisioned on your account, on the call tile within Teams, when you click on that, you'll get a dial pad, and that'll effectively allow you to call anybody. So that's the integration on that side. So if you don't want to use your mobile phone or a tablet or a desk phone, you can just use Teams software to do it, and it will allow you to make calls straight from the system. As long as that voice option's on, it will just let you call whoever, basically.
Great. So we are kicking off the next part of what we're doing here. So we've got the opportunity to put the product together. We've got an existing solution, our existing phone numbers in place. Everything's working fine. How do we set this system up to work? What do we expect the customer to do, and what do we do alongside them to enact and activate a business voice solution for a customer?
Okay, that's fine. So basically, once you've had the license assigned and it's effectively been added, the first thing you'd want to do is assign a phone number to the actual user. So you need to make that decision what sort of number you want assigned to it. The majority of people that we have do just have a normal local number, but there is people that say they're based in Manchester but they want a London number. You can actually set that up. We do have people that do have something similar. They live in a suburb of London, but they don't want that area code. They'll have like the main London number, like an 020 number. So you would log in to the administration panel on Teams. You then go into the voice section where you can assign the number, and you have to basically order a number, but that's part of the package. Because the number has to be ordered from a pool. You'll basically get an option of pool of numbers that Microsoft have available, and then you choose the one that you want to use. And once that's been chosen, it effectively orders that number, and it automatically will then add it to the pool that's available on your account, and then you just assign it to that user. That number is then routable, so you can ring that number and it will ring that person as long as they're signed in Teams on any device. It will actually just call like you would be calling on a regular phone that you have.
Great. And then of course moving on from there, so that's how we're going to set up our numbers to dial out and our numbers that we identify with. But internally within the organisation, how do we set up so that we are diverting specific numbers to different groups, to different individuals, that we're doing that across different locations, which is particularly relevant at the moment while we do have many of our customers working from home. How do we set up all of the answering options that we need to make this service live?
Yeah, sure. So basically, within the Teams admin area, there is a section called call answering, which is actually under the queuing system. And basically, what you do is if you have a group of people, like for example, a bit like a help desk, for example, or you have a group of people that has one main number and you want it to go to multiple people, you would set up a group of people. So effectively, it's a bit like a group on your email, but for phone systems. So what you do is you add a load of people to a group, you call it call group, for example, and then what you do is when you're setting up call answering options, you choose where that number diverts to. So you can select either an individual user or you can select a group of people. So you select a group of people, and then basically you can then set it to do what you want it to do routing. So you can have it ringing every phone at the same time. You can have it ringing so it goes through a cycle, so it effectively goes through each person. So it'll ring one phone, then ring another, and so on. You can do that, or you can have it go into an attendant where it will actually go to an IVR, which is like a menu system option 1, and so on. So you can actually do that, and then basically it will just call that particular group of people. So it is customizable on that point. So you can, I mean, most people that do it, they have it so it rings every phone at the same time, because if it is a help desk, that's what you want it to do. You don't want it to be ringing one person then another, because you could get to a position where only one person's getting all the calls. So you can get it to ringing, over the whole thing, and that's what most people do.
Got it. Brilliant. Okay. So then, of course, the next thing is that many of our customers like to use toll-free numbers for their customers to ring into. It's a very good method for attracting business. How do we set that up?
Okay, so toll-free numbers basically it's obviously it's a free phone number. Now, in order to use free phone numbers with Microsoft Teams and Business Voice, you need to buy what's known as communication credits. And all they basically are is they're a set of credits that you get that allows when people ring you, it effectively pays the bill. That's basically what they do. And you have to buy them directly with Microsoft. So that will be done through your admin panel. We would instruct you how to do that, and then you literally just buy a set amount of credits for the free calls. And once they're in place, what we can then do is order the free phone number. Now that will be an 0800 number normally. I do believe that you can get an 0300 number as well for mobile friendly ones. So once that's been ordered, you then just assign it the same way. So you can assign it to a specific person or a group, or you can have it as your main number that you ring up, and you get the menu system as well. And that's basically it. That's how the whole free phone number situation works.
Great. So it's relatively easy to set that up. Get that rolling.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the main key thing with free phone numbers is the communication credits. As long as you've got the communication credits, you'll be able to order a free phone number and it will then work, because without the credits in place, nobody can ring you, because you have to effectively foot the bill before you get the number. So when somebody rings the 0800 number, it's effectively paid for. That's how it works.
Great. So you've got we've set up our outgoing numbers, we've set up our incoming numbers and our incoming call groups. We've got our free phone numbers working, and so now how do we set up to ensure that we've got policies in place to be able to manage the numbers that we've assigned?
Yeah, sure. So basically, there is a section on Teams admin called call policies. And what that basically is it's a set of rules, I suppose, in a way, that governs what people can do. Now, there's an org-wide one, and then there's an individual one. So you can actually configure the org-wide one to do certain things. So these can be things like, can a user make a private call? Do you want them to be able to ring only certain numbers? So you might want to say, well, they're only allowed to ring business critical numbers. They're not allowed to ring numbers, say, to their wife or their partner or whoever. You can set it to do things like that. You can set it to say, I want this phone call to be forwarding, or I don't want them to be able to forward any number. You can restrict them. It's a bit like a set of rules that you can put in place, so you can prevent them doing things or make them do things. So things like enabling voicemail. Do you want the phone number, if nobody answers it, to go through to the voicemail? Or you can do what sort of inbound and outbound rules do you want to be applied? Do you want to be able to have the calls to be archived, or it's mainly things like that. It's sort of like controlling the way that the phone system works.
Great, brilliant. So we've now got the call queue set up as well, and the policies. We've got as we've said, the numbers outgoing, the numbers ingoing set, and so we're now in a position where we can look at where people call us, and perhaps we can't answer the phone straight away. So what happens when we do that?
So when we do that, basically, it's going back to something I mentioned earlier. It's basically call queues. So with call queues, you can get it to have a personal message. So when you ring up, you can say, "Welcome to X. You're now going to be placed on hold while an agent becomes available." You can have music being played. This is all completely configurable within the Teams admin center. And then you can choose what you're going to do with that call. So do you want, if you, for example, if there's nobody available, do you want it to go onto another phone number? So if you've got a group of people and they're all busy, but then there's you want it to go through to someone who's on the road, for example, that's got a mobile, you can have it redirect into that if nobody's available. You can set things like maximum queue size. So I only want 10 people to queue, and it gets to 11 people. They just say, unfortunately, there's nobody available. Please try again later. You can do things like that. You can set out timeouts on it. You can do one key thing on it is a shared voicemail, so you can get them to leave a message for the whole organization, and then obviously whoever's on that group can listen into that message. And that's effectively what the queue does. It is manages the flow of calls coming in. It stops them basically effectively everyone was ringing at the same time. It sort of like puts them into like a bottleneck, so it basically distributes them out into the right area of the business.
Right, brilliant. Obviously, I think a key consideration for many of our customers is going to be about the telephone numbers that they've already got. The contact points within a business are mission critical to that organisation in most instances, and it may have taken many years of branding to establish the number. So, can I port the numbers across that I've already got? How long does it take to do that, and what is the facility that enables me to do that?
So port numbering is possible within Teams. You can port pretty much any number. There is a set of criteria that you need in order to get it. It's normally the main phone number that you need. There's a reference number that you need, and you need to ensure the people that you leave in your carrier allows you to port the number to another provider. They would be things you'd have to check. It's effectively a case of the same way as you order a number in Teams. It's the same way, but instead of ordering a number, you put in what's known as a port numbering transfer request. And what that basically is it'll ask you for some details about the number that you've got, who the number's with, and it'll ask you for a reference number and some other details regarding the number itself, normally like an account number, that kind of thing. And then basically you place the order into a queue, and within roughly 7 to 14 days, the number will be transferred into us, into the 365 system. There is some occasions where it can take up to 30 days. If there is any issues with the transfer, like it fails or whatever, you would be notified by Microsoft, and they tell you why it's been why it's failed. But it is doable. But we just need to make you aware that it's not an instant thing. It can take up to a month for it to happen. So if you're going to be looking at porting numbers in, it might be best to look at sort of doing it a month before you have a deadline to be moved, for example, and then that'll ensure that the number's actually been transferred in to the Teams system.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for all of the information that we've gone through today. So, as I said at the beginning, an introduction to this is a game changer solution from Microsoft, but the Business Voice solution has been available now for a few years. It's certainly matured in terms of its functionality to a PBX solution, which stands shoulder to shoulder with solutions that have been available for tens and tens of years in terms of development. The benefits, I think, are really, really advantageous, particularly with many of our small and medium-sized customers, where there is the opportunity to save a significant amount of money by moving away from a legacy solution that can be quite costly, to secondly provide a much higher level of integration with the business tools that you are already using, particularly if you're on the Office 365 suite, where there is a high level of integration opportunities available to you, and it provides a significant amount of additional functionality and flexibility that you would derive from a cloud solution rather than a legacy solution. Now, what you'll have seen as we've stepped through this today is obviously there are a number of steps to go through to move from an existing system to a business voice solution, as we've described, and that's where Simply Mail Solutions comes in. You know, we've been in this in the cloud business since 2006. We are a true Microsoft house, with complementary solutions that we also supply, and we have all of the help desk functionality and UK-based team that can work with you to understand what you've currently got, and to step you through a migration to a fully integrated business voice solution, should you wish to take that approach. We use these systems ourselves. Today we're talking to you on those platforms, so we are fully familiar with them and use them to great advantage ourselves. And as we've said earlier on, you know, in this difficult time, we're happy to talk with you and help you in any way that we can. So I hope that you found today's session to be advantageous and informative. We're always here to work with you. I'd like to thank you, Martin, for joining me today on this session. We hope to see you again soon. Our contact details are our website, and our sales lines and our support lines, of course, are shown on the slide you're currently seeing, and you can get all of the information on the products and solutions that we're providing on our website. So please keep safe, and we hope to be speaking with you again soon. And from Martin and myself, goodbye and good luck. Take care.
Goodbye. Thanks.